Hello there, I am Eunice Johnson, welcoming you to another exciting edition of your weekly program, Telecom Today, brought to you by the nation's telecommunications regulatory agency, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC. The aim is to constantly update you on the trends in the industry in Nigeria and other parts of the world. In this edition, starting with the news update. Call masking is on the decline, says NCC. And also on the news update segment, NCC's consumer education initiatives elicits commendations from Jigawa subscribers. Plus, NCC's spokesman bows out of service amidst cheers. And in our news of the week segment, ICT-equipped workforce key to Nigeria's technological growth, says Minister of Communications, Barrister Adewole Shitu. While the consumer segment is from the consumer outreach program held in Ilori, the Kwara state capital. Oh yes, it is a loaded episode. It promises to be very heartwarming, so I urge you to please stay tuned. Welcome back. On this program, we'll discuss all about the telecom and the ICT industries. Let's set the ball rolling on today's edition with a story from the Telecom Consumer Parliament TCP held in the nation's Commercial Nerve Center, Lagos. There, the telecom regulator was categorical on statistics of the decline in the menace of call masking.
Call masking remains a menace in the telecommunications industry, but consistent regulatory intervention by the Nigerian Communications Commission is significantly bringing down its prevalence. The act involves concealing of international calls coming into the country and terminating them as local calls, especially for monetary fraudulent purposes. This position was made known at the 85th edition of the Telecom Consumer Parliament in Lagos by the Director, Legal and Regulatory Services of the NCC, Mrs. Yetunde Akinloye.
If you find out that you are receiving mass calls like Mr. McDaniel said, please call our number. It's 622. It's free. You don't pay for it. Just let us know and then we'll take action. The
CEO, ICT Derivatives Limited and lead paper presenter, Barrister Yola Oke, in an interview with Telecom Today on the sideline of the event, attested to Mrs. Akinloye's point of view, even as he added that more still needs to be done to completely halt the menace.
Is a black market operations in telecom, where people who are not authorized to provide certain services start providing the services. They include people providing gateway services when they are not authorized to provide gateway services. And in order to mask their activity, they strip the numbers of their caller identity. So that is what call masking is. In terms of sanction, what NCC is doing is okay. We've just said that some of these things should also be criminalized, either by putting them in the Cyber Crimes Act or by creating additional offenses inside the criminal code.
During the panel discussion segment that was moderated by Mrs. Rekia Zubero to get the perspective of network providers on the issue, Head Customer Experience of Airtel Nigeria, Ms. Olubumi Abejiri, recommended stiff penalty for any licensee that is found culpable in the scam.
One of the ways we do that is when we identify some of these numbers, we readily give the numbers and the KYC details to NCC. You do know your KYC details includes your facial recognition, your thumbprint, fingerprints, address, mother's maiden name. So these numbers are all given to NCC. And the most baffling part of it is that when these numbers are blocked, nobody comes to say anything because they know what they are using it for.
However, the representative of Airtel Nigeria was not alone on the issue of sanction, as the Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Professor Umar Garu Badambata, represented by NCC Director, Consumer Affairs Bureau, Mrs. Felicia Onwegbuchelam, had earlier in an opening speech touched on the same line of action for any errant licensee.
Because of the negative impact of this nefarious practice on national security and consumer experience, the Commission is determined to decisively deal with any of its licensees implicated in the scam. As regulator, we will continue to aggressively monitor our licensees regardless of their size or the scope of the operations, and anyone found wanting will be strictly dealt with in accordance with the law.
It is worthy of note that the Commission's zero tolerance for the unwholesome practice and its determination to stamp out the illegality in the industry that the Commission decided to devote the 85th edition of the Telecom Consumer Parliament to the subject where the inputs of critical stakeholders were vested towards finding lasting solutions. The theme of the Telecom Consumer Parliament is Overcoming Challenges of Call Masking and Refiling, task ahead of the telecommunications industry.
NCC's Consumer Education Initiative has elicited the commendation of teaming GSM subscribers in Jigawa State. This was at the 42nd edition of the Consumer Town Hall meeting held in Kazaure local government area of the state. The series of initiatives developed by the Nigerian Communications Commission towards ensuring that consumers of telecom products and services in the country are well protected, informed and educated have drawn commendations from telecom subscribers in Jigawa State. The nation's telecom regulator received a pat on the back at the 42nd edition of the Consumer Town Hall meeting, an outreach program geared towards preferring solutions to consumer-related issues which held in Kazaure local government area of Jigawa State. Among the several stakeholders that expressed their appreciations to the Commission was SP Mohammed Ibrahim, the Divisional Police Officer in charge of Kazaure Division.
NCC now became police because they create awareness between the consumer and the service provider. As such, much problem of complaints of consumer to the service provider, at least going by this forum, at least it will reduce. So as such, it will reduce our work, sir. We thank you for this creating awareness.
The Director of Studies at the Jigawa State Institute of Information Technology, Mr. Yunusa Ibrahim Hadeja, followed suit with this verdict.
If I should be asked to rate this gathering or to rate this, kind of assessment of this NCC arrangement of this program, I can rate this arrangement to be an excellent information, which of course I should congratulate the organizers of this program, and they are rated the most awarded program. So thank you very much on behalf of my rector, the institute and the student of this institution. You are welcome. In
line with the fundamental essence of the forum, however, many telecom-related issues of concern were raised by participants, among whom was Mr. Taye Oluwaseun Joseph, who wanted to know what the NCC is doing to encourage education in Nigeria.
Does the NCC has a plan or a program for our students in Nigeria and for our education sector? Do they have a plan they are rolling for the benefit of the students?
This was the response he got from Mr. Al-Mustafa Umar, manager of the Universal Service Provision Fund, USPF.
We provide secondary school with number of computers and we provide network to students. And that SKC project is also classified into 2 or 3. There are type A, type B, which type A is almost similar to type A, where sometimes we provide 100 pieces of laptop to students with projector and network. Sometimes we provide 40 desktop with projector and network in schools.
The Consumer Town Hall meeting in Kazaure had traditional rulers, representatives of security agencies, student bodies, market women groups, and several other stakeholders in attendance. Recall that the NCC has constantly maintained and demonstrated how telecom consumers are the target beneficiaries of all its activities, which are aimed at making them enjoy primary focus in terms of value for money spent, timely and fair redress of complaints, and protection from unwholesome practices of some service providers. Does the name Tony Ojobo ring a bell in your ears? Yes, he has been the spokesman of the telecom regulator for quite some time now. Well, after clocking 60, it was time for him to bow out of service. This was done in a grand style as friends, colleagues and top management staff of the Commission gathered to bid him farewell and thanks for a job well done.
It was indeed a moment of mixed feelings for the staff and management of the Nigerian Communications Commission as they gathered to bid farewell to Mr. Tony Ojobo, the former Director of Public Affairs of the NCC. The erstwhile Director of Public Affairs at the Nigerian Communications Commission retired in grand style at the age of 60 after serving the nation's telecom regulatory body diligently for nearly 2 decades. The event, which held at the NCC's Maitama Abuja head office, offered family members, friends, staff and top management of the Commission the opportunity to express their feelings for who they described as a quintessential spokesman. The Executive Vice Chairman of the NCC, Professor Umar Garibadambata, did not mince words in his encomium on the man Ojobo, praising him for holding his head high no matter how challenging the situation may be.
It was you alone in the entire Nigerian Communications Commission who was able to really give me some kind of guidance on how to manage crisis situations, what to do in such crisis situations, as well as ensure we keep our heads without moving it. And when you have people like Tony around, then you share the burden. It feels easier. Doing the job of the CEO becomes, let me sincerely, a real pleasure. Well, I wish you the best of luck in whatever you intend to do in your later life. I would like to say you will be greatly missed.
It was no doubt a harvest of testimonials by different speakers that had converged to give the outgoing director a befitting parting shot, beginning with a citation from the head economic analysis of the Commission, Mr. Reuben Morka.
Mr. Anthony Chukwudolue Ojobo stands tall as a thoroughbred telecommunications professional and technocrat. He has spent about 31 years serving, advocating, teaching, and ministering in the telecom industry.
We wish you the best wherever you go. I've worked with you and we had a very fantastic relationship. I've never had any cause to have a disagreement over our job. And I think together we've done some things that have pushed this commission forward. And I don't need to emphasize too much on what you have done to image building in NCC. Telecom today is synonymous with Mr. Tony Ojobo. And I think they will miss your face on telly.
He doesn't bear grudge. A peaceful man. A gentleman to the core. An empathetic boss. Your happiness is his happiness. If you are sad, he's destabilized for the day. He does good with his pen. Rather than write anything bad, he will not write anything at all. He's either recommend you or approve it.
What was the response of the outgoing director whom so much had been said about?
The Commission and the industry will continue to go from strength to strength. May your tenure, EVC, may the tenure of the board continue to be successful and eventful. Like the sky. Let the sky be your starting point. I love you all.
Mr. Tony Ojobo spoke with Telecom Today and other members of the Fourth Estate of the RAM on how the journey had been, describing the media as good Abingers.
I want to thank you for your cooperation, for your fellowship and your friendship which you extended to me. Now, as I bow out today, I leave the commission fulfilled. I've been here 18 years, and from the story I told, I was there right from the beginning, before the digital mobile licenses were issued to operators. So I've been here right from the beginning, all through the licensing. So the revolution happened right before my face. From a time when I worked in Nitel, when people will have to queue for 10 years to get just one line, to now when people within 20 minutes can have a phone activated and working. So it is a fulfillment that I have. Seeing the e-commerce space buzzing, seeing situations where people don't have to go and queue in the banks anymore, where you can transact every transaction just on your mobile device. For me, I think this is what the revolution is about. And thank God the revolution happened right before my eyes.
There was also cutting of the valedictory cake, which coincided with his birthday celebration, and a toast from the Executive Commissioner, Stakeholder Management, Mr. Sunday Dari.
I pray that what you've had in the past will not be compared to the future that lies ahead of you. Amen. And I'm sure that if you keep going in the same spirit, with the same zeal, you will attain greater heights. Amen. I wish you the very best.
Family, friends, and well-wishers also graced the colorful occasion with dance, palm, and pageantry. Mr. Ojobo joined the commission in year 2000 and has held different positions which he had managed perfectly. He is also known as the image maker of the commission, an entrusted mouthpiece, and has been defined as a thoroughbred public servant, committed, determined, hardworking, team-spirited, and a representation of nobility. A former director, corporate strategy planning and risk management of the commission, Mr. Nnamdi Nwokike, will be taking over from Mr. Ojobo as the new director of public affairs of the NCC. Atinuke Tokura, Telecom Today.
Welcome back. This is now the News of the Week segment. The board of the Digital Bridge Institute, DBI, has been inaugurated. Speaking at the occasion, the Minister of Communication, Barrister Adewole, said the ICT-equipped workforce is key to Nigeria's technological growth. For Nigeria to achieve its maximum economic potentials in present-day global reality, its workforce must be equipped with the requisite knowledge that abounds in the field of ICT. Honorable Minister of Communications Technology, Barrister Abdulrahim Adebayo Shitu, made the submission at the inaugural ceremony of the new governing board of the Digital Bridge Institute, DBI, in Abuja. The minister, who was represented by the board chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Senator Olabiyi Durojaye, lauded the institute for its constant training and empowerment of citizens in vocational and ICT-related skills.
In an increasingly competitive global knowledge economy, a highly skilled and knowledgeable workforce is the only way Nigeria can take advantage of the vast opportunities in the ICT sector.
The minister also expressed the hope that members of the new board would bring their wealth of experience to bear in the task of repositioning the fortunes of the foremost telecom training center in Africa.
The training, the funds to do the research, and to be able to contribute, to invent something new in the field of telecommunication, so Nigeria can earn more foreign exchange revenue, create more employment for the youth, and earn greater respectability and fame for Nigeria as a country. These are the things we are setting up to do.
Then comes the formal inauguration of the board, where members took the oath of office administered by the representative of the minister.
That I shall perform the roles and responsibilities assigned to me by this appointment in a diligent manner.
We accept this responsibility to discharge these duties, to invest our resources in expertise, in knowledge, in energy, and in time, to ensure that the vision of the founding fathers of this institute is met 100%.
Earlier in his opening remarks, the administrator DBI, Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde, gave his historical background of the 14-year-old training institute.
The primary focus was on telecommunications training, because the vision of the founders of the institute was to have an institution that could support capacity building for the then fledgling telecom sector. There was a need to build capacity for telecommunications, particularly in the new areas. of mobile telecommunications. And so DBI started off as a telecom training institute. However, over time, because of convergence in the ICT space, it has moved to actually become not just a telecom training institute, but an ICT training institute at that.
He also provided this insight on the crucial role the NCC had been playing to ensure the sustenance of the telecom training outfit.
We want to see that our programs translate to the creation of jobs, to the development of young talents who would become ICT innovators, become entrepreneurs, create jobs, create wealth, and then, of course, that will translate to a better economy for Nigeria and make us a more competitive economy, particularly in this ICT age, when ICT has become the major driver of economic growth for most economies.
Members of the newly inaugurated 10-man governing board of the Digital Bridge Institute are as follows: Dr. Bode Oke, Professor Mohammed Ajiya, Professor Sahalu Balarabe, Engineer Hashim Bakori, Dr. Niron Oyekale, Right Honorable Kelechi Nwagu, Professor Oyelowo Oyewo, Mr. Ikenna Ikeme, MTN representative, Mr. Peter Olusoji Ogundele, Ericsson representative. Senator Olabiyi Durojaye, Chairman NCC, and Professor Umar Garba Dambata, EVC NCC, were also reappointed as ex-officio members of the new DBI board. Welcome to the consumer segment from the Consumer Outreach Program held in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. At the event, teaming GSM subscribers in the area requested service providers to improve on their service delivery. Consumers of telecom products and services in Ilorin, Kwara State have demanded improved quality of service and better treatment from network operators in the state. The demand was made at the 99th version of the Consumer Outreach Program in Ilorin, a forum put together by the nation's telecom regulator to enlighten consumers and resolve pressing consumer issues with respect to provision of telecom services. Comrade Musa Mohammed Mancha, a student union leader at Kwara State University, Ilorin, was one of the participants that raised the concern while urging operators to treat their customers with utmost respect.
Many of our campuses that are not even having network. So we implore you that you should try as much as possible to see how you can improve the networking and, of course, the browsing system in these places.
Equally dwelling on the subject of inadequate provision of service by network providers was Hajia Tony Ahmed, whose complaints centered on irregular deduction by network providers, even as she also sought to know how fraudsters were able to get her data online.
When you buy data from the service providers, Nine Mobile, I stopped even buying recharge cards on my Nine Mobile 9 because of this. You will discover that you have unused data, which is supposed to be rolled over when next you recharge. But it will not be rolled over.
These were some of the responses provided by network operators to some of the issues raised.
If you have a 4G phone, or you can check your data speed. Right where we are sitting, we did an upload of 18.9 Mbps. Sorry, an upload of 18.9 Mbps and a download of 7-point-something Mbps. So that's a very good one. When you are within certain radius of a campus, you can do some free calls. You can get some cheaper tariffs on data. We have offers. And we'll be reaching out to you on that.
Several other consumer-related concerns were thrown up by the participants, with the service providers and indeed the NCC preferring solutions to them, in line with the objectives of the outreach program. Telecom Today spoke with the Director Consumer Affairs Bureau, NCC, Mrs. Felicia Onweguchula, after the event, which she gave these insights too on the outcome of the telecom gathering.
And I believe that in a short while to come, with the level of information that has been given out today, people will enjoy better services from the network operators.
Outreach program, which has as its theme Using information and education as tools for consumer empowerment and protection is one of the veritable means through which NCC ensures that consumers get good quality of service, value for money spent, as well as timely and fair redress of complaints, amongst other benefits. Well, it is on this note that we want to call it a day on this week's edition of Telecom Today. Not to worry, the program will be back same time next week with another resounding edition. Before we go, please remember to send us your feedback and comments through the NCC website, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Remember that you can always call our toll-free customer care line 622 for any service complaint. I am Eunice Johnson, thanking you for being my guest. Until I come your way again next week, it's bye for now.